Greetings and welcome to the Inner Mileage channel. My name is Dr. Gyesie, transformational coach here at Inner Mileage, where we help folks, groups, and organizations transform and overcome limiting self-beliefs to live an optimal life or have an optimal team. But specifically today, we're going to be talking about the empath's journey through Earth School. In other words, why empaths have difficult times volunteering and coming to this plane called Earth, which is a school of learning for awakening. Empaths, we want to talk a little bit about why empaths volunteer to come here and realize that this is a journey of healing through trauma and reaching non-duality. Non-duality simply means realizing that there is no separation between what's in you or what's outside you, that you are one and all, you're everything and nothing. And we will uncover how experiences like narcissistic abuse and generational curses or generational trauma are not just random hardships, but they're actually sacred initiations designed to awaken inner purpose for the greater good. And some of the insights I'll use here borrow from neuroscience, ancient texts, quantum mechanics, and philosophers. One of my favorite philosophers, Slavoj Zizek, where we'll uncover how empaths are like cells in a body, serving a larger cosmic purpose, and how the empath's journey is akin to what Joseph Campbell describes in his work, The Hero's Journey, and other awakening paths, to offer a new way of seeing life's challenges. And stay with me, these will change the way you see yourself and your life. So to get started, before coming to Earth, this plane, empaths make a soul agreement. And the soul agreement, you could say, is based on karma. And karma here simply means the net impact of one's past actions, the cause and effect, right? So there's a volunteer to descend to human experience to grow, learn, and expand consciousness. And we know karma is basically physics, action, reaction. That's simply what it is. Don't get caught up in the esoteric woo-woo definitions. It's just, everything I'm talking about here is math and physics and science. It's just that. And Earth is a school where lessons are often painful, and only through these experiences can we transcend duality, which is separation, and to reconnect with unity, which is non-duality, non-separation. We'll also borrow from this idea of syncretism, which teaches us that life is interconnected, is an interconnected web of spiritual lessons, whether it's moksha in Hinduism or enlightenment in Buddhism. The goal is the same, right? To transcend the illusion of separation, because that's all it is. And the more separated you are in your perspective of self, the more you are removed from awakening. And as souls, or non-souls, if you may, empaths choose to experience suffering to grow spiritually. And they come here not just for personal healing, but to awaken to purpose and serve the collective consciousness, much like individual neurons in the body function together, or the role of good cells in the body. That's biology here. So many empaths are born into families with generational trauma. And I've had that experience, and I'm sure many of you watching this have this experience as well. And often encountering narcissistic abuse very early in life, unfortunately. Now, the good news is this is not an accident, but part of the soul's plan, or the non-soul's plan, if you may. It's sort of a random occurrence of earth, of the elements, earth, wind, fire, aggregating into karma based on causes and conditions that create the conditions for a specific type of karma. And generational trauma, like an inherited curse, pushes empaths to break the cycles of dysfunction. Now, neuroscientists explain that trauma changes the brain, right? Neuroscientists, all of them, Amisha Jha, and also trauma therapists like Dr. Gabor Mate in his book, The Myth of Normal, talks about this. And this rewiring creates hypervigilance and heightened empathy, which can feel like a burden. However, this same neuroplasticity allows for profound growth and resilience. And through narcissistic abuse, empaths are challenged to stop seeking external validation and find their worth from within. And narcissists act as mirrors reflecting the ego-based illusion of duality, separation, because the narcissist is driven by a need to control, whereas the empath is driven by a need to connect. And it is through these painful experiences that the empaths begin their shift towards non-duality. Now, at the core of this journey is a shift from duality, which is seeing the world in terms of good versus evil, light versus dark, to non-duality, where all experiences are seen as part of a greater whole. And narcissistic abuse teaches empaths that their power lies not in opposition, but in unity. You see? Now, quantum mechanics offers us a very useful insight here. At the smallest level, everything is interconnected. The observer and the observed are one. And in the same way, empaths realize that even when the people who cause them harm are very useful for their awakening. You see, your philosopher Zizek, Slavoj Zizek, speaks about the paradox of truth emerging from contradiction. And the empath's journey reflects this truth. It's often through suffering and betrayal that empaths find their purpose. And the greatest gift narcissistic abuse offers is the realization that healing comes from within, not from external circumstances. Now, Joseph Campbell's hero's journey offers a map for the empath's awakening. And the journey begins in the ordinary world, whether it's family dysfunction or a toxic relationship. And this call to adventure often arrives through pain and betrayal. And many empaths initially resist this call, clinging to the comfort of old patterns. For example, I've had conversations with folks who say, yes, I've been with my family, they're mean to me, they take my money, they siphon my energy, there's never gratitude, whatever I give is not enough, I do so much, but that's just my family, so I just have to accept it. And so long as you're accepting it, you're bound to this sort of slave spiritual contract where you've agreed to be the source of narcissistic supply to the narcissist. Remember that the narcissist is a predator who seeks supply from a narcissist, from an empath to thrive. And it doesn't matter if that supply seems like negative energy or positive energy. It's all the same to the narcissist. So they prey on the empath's compassion, ethics, and desire to connect. And the empath, initially, because there is a desire to help and heal others, thinking that's their job, are locked in that curse of just giving and giving and giving in a very non-reciprocal way. And in the abyss of suffering, the empath faces their fears and shadows, the kind of suffering of being exploited and extracted from. And here, the empath learns that their purpose is not just about personal healing, but it's to become a light worker, someone who guides others out of darkness. And the hero's journey, as Joseph Campbell alludes to, culminates in a return to the world, not as a victim, but as an awakened teacher. See? So you realize that from a non-dual perspective, that there cannot be light without darkness. In other words, the way we see in the dark is when there is the presence of light, like this. Do you see? This is how light works. So every empath who awakens becomes a healing force for the world. Think of humanity as a giant organism filled with cells and protons and atoms and all these things. And just as every cell plays a role in maintaining the health of the body, each empath contributes to the elevation of collective consciousness. And in this way, the empath who becomes this light being is taking care of life. Therefore, as the empath takes care of life, then life takes care of the empath, because life takes care of life, like the sun. Do you see? So the source of the empath is the source. And when the empath is connected to the source of all things, then that's where their source comes from, this infinite supply of source, where life takes care of life. And you can take this in any sense, whether it's health or abundance and so forth, and really tap into the minds within, the gold mines within, and unearthing those gold mines of the collective awakening and transmutation of brass into gold, as an alchemist does. You see? Now, Asian texts like the Tao Te Ching remind us that the 10,000 things rise and fall, but they all return to the source. In the same way, the empath's journey is about returning to unity after experiencing separation. And as empaths awaken, they help others awaken, creating a ripple effect of healing and transformation. See? So you realize that the purpose for all the pain that the empath went through was simply to build a certain kind of resilience. The kind of resilience that makes an Olympic athlete an elite athlete. Because for an Olympic athlete to succeed and break world records, they have to endure a certain disciplined rigor of training that the average athlete cannot or will not is probably more appropriate, put themselves through. And in a way, the souls or the non-souls who volunteer to come to Earth to be part of this paradigm shift in these times probably do not realize the depth of the kind of boot camp training that will be required to transition from dark to light, from being a wounded empath into an awakened empath. And it's that rigor that creates the necessary conditions for compassion for the empath to become the light worker. So if you're an empath on this journey, as we conclude this video, I want to highlight some tools that can help with accelerating your activation from suffering to becoming a way shower, a light bringer, a star seed. The first I'd recommend is certainly meditation. And it's about cultivating stillness beyond thought and emotion. That's very key. And it helps with deepening self-knowledge and self-awareness and connecting to the emptiness within from which all things come from. The second will be journaling, which is to write, to uncover your own subconscious patterns. And when you're aware of your subconscious patterns, you're no longer a victim to them. Then, of course, as the famous book says, the body keeps score. Trauma is stored in your body, and going on meditation retreats can help release some of that somatically. There's all kinds of somatic healing, like using breath or breath work to release some of the trapped emotions and energies in our bodies. Working out helps with that as well. And certainly, eventually, being with a tribe of very like-minded people, whether it's through your yoga practice or your meditation practice or your workout practice or some community events you're involved in or business events you're involved in, etc., hobbies, people who align with you in the right way, people who are conscious about pursuing some of the same things or similar things that you're pursuing. And here at Inner Matters, we offer coaching programs designed specifically for empaths to help you on this awakening journey. You're not alone on this path. Your suffering has a purpose, and it was all to awaken you to your gifts and fulfill your mission for the greater good. So I encourage you to keep shining your light, keep discovering, keep looking within yourself to realize that all your suffering is to lead you to liberation. It's as simple as that. If this video resonated with you, please like, share, subscribe. And you can find more details at our website. Details will be in the comment section. And remember, there's absolutely no one like you. Peace.